And the righteous will rejoice when they see vengeance done. They will bathe their feet in the blood of the wicked. Wow, what a horrible book. In fact, I don't think there's a single good thing that is exclusively found in the Bible. If you disagree, we've got open lines. Call in because the show is starting right now. Woo! That's right, folks. Today is Sunday, May 21st, 2023, and I am your host, Secular Rarity, and joining me today is somebody brand new to the wonderful Talk Heathen audience. It's Tom Benson. What is up, Tom?
Hey, SR, thanks for having me. How you doing?
I am good. I'm excited to have you on, man. I know you've already been hanging out with us a little bit here at the ACA, but for everybody here that doesn't know about you, tell us about yourself. Who are you? What do you do? Why are you here, I guess? I mean, that's a lot of questions. You don't have to answer all of those.
So many things all at once. Well, I run a podcast called, we're found at www.whoeverwegothere.com or www.howeverwegothere.com. You can get both of them work. But we have some similarities, parallels in terms of the folks that we engage with, where we're talking to people out there in the world, and great crossover here. So found myself talking to you today, and we're dialing in from the East Coast and the Mountain Coast here.
That's right.
Now.
That's
I'm
right.
excited to talk to some folks.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time, I think, folks. And remember, Talk Heathen is a live call-in show, and we have open lines. We've already got a couple of calls, but we have even more lines available. So get those calls in at 512-991-9242 or from your computer at tiny.cc/call TH. And as always, folks, I have to remind you, because I am contractually obligated, Talk Heathen is a product of the atheist community of Austin, a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to the promotion of atheism, critical thinking, secular humanism, and the separation of religion and government. All very important things, and a wonderful organization that is promoting them all. So we are here to do that, folks. And again, we've got some open lines, but before we grab one of these great calls, we are going to do the question of the week. Talk Heathen to me, folks. We do this every single week. We give you a question and we read out our top 3 answers from last week. So last week we asked, if you had your own circle of hell, what would your punishment be? So these are awesome, and I am excited. Number 3, Chuck Gato says, in my circle of hell, in my circle of heaven, you get to toast marshmallows. My circle of hell is the same place, but you are a marshmallow. That's pretty intense, honestly. I don't know about that. I think I would take being a marshmallow just by itself, though. Maybe not the toasting part. Number 2, we've got from Blake Walker. My circle of hell would be having everybody sit on clouds, playing harps and singing praises to Yahweh for all eternity. Yeah, I agree with that, Blake. Yeah, that does not sound like a good time. And finally, number 1 for last week, we've got Marcel Janssens says, version of hell where you actually have to read the software user agreements you checked okay on. Now, that is diabolical, Marcel. That is diabolical. Yeah, if that is what hell is, I might convert, folks. I might convert. I'm not doing that.
It's an infinite hell.
Yeah, right. That's terrible. Hey, some of those user agreements do feel like they're eternity. Like, how do you pack that much? It doesn't matter. We're not going to do it. We're not going to go into that. But we do have a prompt for next week, folks. So as always, remember, throw those comments underneath the video. Don't put them in the live chat, put them in the comments of the video, and we will grab our top 3. But let me ask you, Tom, let me ask you here. If God favors humans, why are they so blank? What do you think? What do you got?
I thought about this one. I thought about it a lot. And I think the question is the question. Right? The answer is in the question. Okay. Why are they so blank?
Oh, you just leave it.
What? Yeah, okay. I figured it was easier. Not just for me not to change anything.
I like that. No, that's smart. That's smart.
Halfway though, on one side you got it's nature nurture, and you don't control the nature part because you're just born with that. So I guess you're not completely blank to some degree. But the nurture, that seems like an equally important part. And that's blank. So it seems.
True. I do know some blank individuals. I won't call them out by name, but yeah, it's like it's almost like talking to like paint drying on a wall sometimes. They're good people, I swear. They don't do anything bad. They're just not interesting at all. So yeah, I get that. That's good. Well, if you've got a good answer, and I'm sure some of our wonderful viewers do, remember, throw them in the comment section, give us your best answer, and then come back here next week for the host to reveal the top 3. So I love this little segment that we're doing now. There's always fun stuff, and we have a good wacky bunch of people that watch this show, Tom, and they always come up with good answers.
What was your answer?
You know, if God favors humans, you know, why are we so squishy? Okay? And I mean this literally. Think about it, okay? Like with a very small change to our genetic code, we could be just like a heck of a lot stronger, you know? I mean, just like physically, in the sense of like things wouldn't hurt us, you know? And so like why not just have just stronger bones even? Like why not just have like less like stuff that's so, you know, like one poke to the heart and it's like done, you know? Like the brain cannot take a lot of trauma. Like why not just be a little bit stronger, God? Like I don't know.
That's fair. But
Yeah.
there are other people, you know, you see the people who get in the accidents, like the rod went through here and like up through his brain. He's okay.
Yeah.
Right. But he's part of this case study because now he, you know, he doesn't remember what the left side of his body's doing.
Right. Yeah.
But,
and that's another issue too. Like why is the body so the body is just terrible, honestly. It is not well designed. It is crap. Yeah. If you don't know that already, folks, you might just be younger than me, which is fine, honestly. But eventually anyway, we're not going into it. We've got a bunch of calls and we are gonna get to them. And remember, folks, if you want to call in, 512-991-9242 or from your computer at tiny.cc/call-th. Let's go out to Texas. We've got John, he, him pronouns, and is a theist, and wants to talk to us a little bit about atheism, I think, and how to have a discussion. So, hey, John, you're on with Secular Rarity and Tom. What do you got for us?
Hi, I hope you guys are having a good day. Thank you for taking my call. You know, this is your show, and I appreciate that you're letting me be on it. So I haven't watched much of the show, but just because I don't have much time, but I think it's very interesting. But you guys always seem to have a really good response, so I'm not anticipating that anything I say is going to be new or is going to be like a got you. But I just was going to try to have a discussion anyways. Just wanted to preface with that. So first off, and I'm so sorry, you guys probably get this all the time, but I just wanted, if you could give me like a really brief description of why you do this show, like why you personally do this show, want to have this discussion in somewhat of a public spotlight, and then if I could have a response to that.
Sure. Tom, what are your thoughts, man? Why do you do this? Why do you do this in your podcast? And what do you think on that?
Yeah, I think conversations are really the only tool that we have to affect change. And for myself, I come from a certain standpoint of it's interesting to me to learn where other people are on the spectrum of this crazy thing that we call life. You know, I made some mistakes. I've done some good things. And I guess for me, participating in things like this with the opportunity to have a conversation with folks like you, John, to understand the same question on your side. Why do we believe the things that we believe? Mm-hmm. And is there a better way that we could all, live our lives so that we can maximize the amount of good and minimize the amount of bad? Generally, that's the idea from my side here. So engaging in conversations and trying to understand and affect change.
Yeah. And
myself, nothing to poke at in that answer. That was a really good one.
Well, okay. So for myself, John, there's a couple of different reasons. One, in part, I'd be lying if I said there wasn't at least a little bit of a selfishness to it. I do just enjoy having difficult conversations where two people are laying out their understandings of a particular nuanced point and trying to get to some kind of middle ground. I do really value that. I do also really value, having good reasons for accepting certain things as true. On top of that, I would say that there is a little bit of that more altruistic feel too, which is me being in the place where I am in the United States. I firsthand have seen some of the absolute horrible things that happen when it comes to, bad epistemology and bad ideologies. And so I want to minimize that as much as possible. So yeah, I think both of us, Tom and I, are kind of in a similar boat. So.
Okay. Well, yeah, those were like really, really awesome responses. I was kind of hoping you'd say something that I could like take a jab at, but those were just really so I guess like a lot of times what happens is I think that people try to have so like the idea of God or a creator existing or not existing is strictly in my opinion, I'm not an intellectual, but it's strictly a philosophical question, right? So what I was going to say is that a lot of times people
can I jump in? Hang on, real quick, John. I just want to jump in real quick because I think in general what you said there is probably accurate, but there are certain claims that when made about a god, it wouldn't be just philosophical, right? Like if explicitly somebody said, God made my car start, that's something that's very, very physical and would very much be something that we could test, right? But I think a lot of what goes on in these conversations is more philosophical, but not all of it.
Sure. Okay, yeah. So, but anyways, what I was kind of trying to get at is a lot of people, I think, try to, and this isn't the brunt of what I was trying to talk about. I don't want to take too much time. But a lot of people who have these conversations, it's about like separation of church and state, for example, which I would absolutely agree with. But this issue has nothing to do with the possibility of there being a creator or not being a creator. You know what I mean? Like I believe in a creator wholeheartedly. It's the most important aspect of my life. But I absolutely see the point in a separation of church and state. You know what I mean? So I feel like that should be more in a political realm, not in like this more philosophical realm. And I know it's convoluted, so it's like not entirely fair for me to say that. But do you see the point that I'm making?
Yeah, I think in a little bit here, and I'm going to throw it to you here in a second, Tom, to get your thoughts. In part, I understand what you're saying about the difference between like a political and philosophical, category when it comes to that specific discussion of separation of religion and government. That being said, I do see how it overlaps on both sides. And so I don't know that it could exclusively sit into one category or the other. I do think though, again, kind of what it sounded to me like the core of what you were getting at there, John, regarding, maybe it's more important that we discuss with people who are trying to get rid of that separation of church and state and try and, have conversation with them that convinces them that's not the right path before we go down that route of really harping on whether or not their particular version of God exists. For me personally, the way I look at it is this: if you're a God believer, if you're a religious person of some kind, or you have some belief in some supernatural something, you aren't as much of a threat in my eyes in terms of the general well-being of people across this country and world as the individuals who are actively trying to put in place laws that specifically target and harm people, right? And so if you're somebody who stands up and says, hey, look, I'm all in favor of trans rights, I also happen to be Jewish. Like, brother, you're on my team. You were on my team because unfortunately there are so many others out there that use that religion to cause such drastic harm. But yeah, let me throw it over to Tom real quick, John, and then we'll get your thoughts. Okay.
I just wanted to do like a real. Can we?
Sure.
Or you can say something on that too. But it seems like you have every right to say what you just said about that. I just kind of wanted to briefly express my desire that I think these things should be two separate categories. But it's not that important to me. Could I get maybe more to like the meat of what I wanted to talk about?
Sure. Go ahead, and I'll let Tom respond to that. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So I just wanted to say, I think in modern times, I think the assumption is that atheism has the intellectual high ground. And, there's a lot of good reason for that, too. And there's a lot of things that religious people have done to kind of allow that to happen. But I just wanted to say, I think it's a lot more complex than a lot of the arguments that atheists make today. So, for example, there's one group on one side, and all they have is their subjective perception, right? And they view the world through this. Okay, so these groups of people think there's more than meets the eye. They realize that they're in existence. They realize that they didn't create themselves. It's a complex world that we live in. It's a complex world within ourselves, right? And our thoughts and things like this. So they say, okay, look, I'm not in control of myself. I didn't create myself. I choose to have the belief, not the knowledge, but the belief that there is something greater than me. There's something that created me. There's no scientific objective knowledge to support this, but yet this is the beliefs of that group of people. So then there's another group of people that say, no, look, this natural world, this world of matter, that's all that there is. That's all that there can be. There's no reason to think that there's anything more than meets the eye. But the problem is that this group of people, there's no objective scientific evidence to support this claim either. And I'm speaking in a very broad sense.
Yeah. No worries. But hang on just a second, John, because you've given us a lot of good stuff there, and I think that's worth just kind of saying some stuff back, because I thought a lot of it was really good. Tom, give us your thoughts on that real quick, and then we'll kick it back over to you, John.
Sure. I think it comes down to, John, and I appreciate that you're coming at this from a really rational standpoint. I think there's variance here, right? But from my perspective, I imagine from SR's perspective as well, we're not making the claim that like there's nothing out there. We're just saying we don't know, right? You're coming at this from an angle of like you were born in this certain geographic area. I can make a number of predictions based on the zip code you were born in about your characteristics. One of them being religious views. Sounds like you're dialing from the U.S., like Texas, right there, right? So, like, what are the odds that you're not Muslim? Yeah, they're somewhat high there, right?
I don't want to get into specifically what I am, but I wouldn't explicitly say that that's a correct statement.
Well, so let me shout a little bit. Hang on a second. Like. Mm-hmm. No. All good, John. No worries. Just give me a second here, because I think there was a good bit of stuff that you had said that I do think is worthwhile to just kind of touch on a little. One of the things you were making a distinction between the groups of people, and you were saying basically there's this one side that kind of still has this feeling that there's something else out there, even though they don't necessarily have the total concrete, solid bullet point proof for it. And then on the other side, you've got these people who are like saying, oh no, it's probably not that thing, but they don't have anything like hardcore solid proof that like says counter. And I think that's a really interesting point. And the reason that I say that is because there are so many things for every single one of us right here, right now. Like, I guarantee this, okay? There is something that you don't believe in, John, and somebody else in your life does, and they don't have any good reason to believe it. And you know that the evidence is not there to be accepting the fact that leprechauns are riding unicorns every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. down the main street in your town, right? Like there is no reason to accept that, but somebody out there believes that. And my question for you is, did you ever once ask yourself if you had that concrete proof that disproved that? And most likely not.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. So I would say that the idea of there being a creator or not a creator, it's by definition, it's a lot more abstract than something as literal as a leprechaun riding a unicorn, right? So
Sure.
that would be a part of material existence. So it's a little bit different than saying something created me and that's my ultimate truth, right? So, for
That's
example,
fair, but the
you
issue
said-
is
you said-
if you make something so ambiguous, if from the beginning, by definition, something is so ambiguous as to be indistinguishable from all of these other things, then you're in the same boat as the unicorn and the leprechaun. You're in that exact same boat because what you have is, on one side, you have something that is extremely well defined, that has absolutely no supporting evidence. And on the other side, you have something that is so ambiguous that either anything out there could be evidence or you just have nothing. And so again, you're kind of in that same boat, right?
So yeah, I know I would disagree with you because it's kind of just an unfortunate or fortunate, we don't truly understand. But the I guess the hard reality is that, the objective truth, objective reality, it's gonna be abstract, regardless of what that reality is. It's gonna be abstract. I didn't invent that. I didn't decide that. However, the truth with a capital T actually is. It's going to be pretty darn abstract, right? So we can't just say, oh, it's abstract, so therefore, because whether there's a creator or not a creator, we are dealing. This is a discussion of the abstract. So I don't really like that argument of saying, oh, if something is abstract, then that just isn't going to work. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Real quick, Tom. I'm sorry. I know. Just real quick, because what I said wasn't that it was abstract, right? It wasn't that it just is ambiguous. It is that by design, it is purposefully so abstract or ambiguous as to make it almost impossible to fully distinguish if something is actually in support or against it. Like when people say things like, well, God is just love. Well, that's nonsense because we understand what love is, at least to a degree. Love is still ambiguous and abstract, but at least has defining characteristics. And when you just interchange other ambiguous things with that, that's where I think the difficulty comes in. But I'm sorry, I've been talking too much. Let me let Tom come in for a second.
No, I think you guys hashed it out like if you're making the words meaningless, like you just keep going down and say God's just whatever. Like, okay. Like, sure, but we still don't have really good reasons. I'm with you. Maybe there's something, I don't know, but I'm not going to call the ball right now because I just don't have any good reasons. And I've taken enough hallucinogens to know that you can be tricked pretty easily.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's a good point.
Sure. So here, I'll ask this question. So like what percentage of, so here, the reason that I wanted to talk about this, and I know this isn't entirely fair because this isn't the premise of this show, but it's the premise of the Atheist Experience show, is that, it's proved to me that a God exists, right? That's the premise. Yeah. But so what I'm trying to say is that that's a dishonest premise because both arguments, either for a creator or for a lack of creator, are on an even playing field, so to speak.
I don't think so.
Does that make sense? Because so what percentage of objective truth do you think? No, just let me ask this question, please. I feel like I've been pretty respectful to you guys' responses.
You've been just fine, John. Go ahead.
So what percentage of objective truth do you think you or just the general public is aware of? Like what if you had to put a
I have no idea, and I don't know how you would calculate that.
Sir, I don't understand the question or why.
I don't think there's a way to calculate that. We could wax philosophically as we sit in our basement smoking doobs, bro, but like that is unimportant in my opinion, unless you can justify as to why that would be super important.
Well, it's important because the whole importance of this discussion is it not?
Well, you cut out a little bit, but let me clarify just a bit. If the question that you're asking has to do with the amount of objective capital T outside of you and me truth that I, Tom, you, or the collective humanity currently possesses, I just don't see how that is valuable at all. Because if the answer is 99%, that tells us nothing about the 1%. We can't make any claims. If the answer is 1%, then it still tells us nothing about the 99%, and we can't make any claims. So in either boat, no matter what the amount of knowledge is that we collectively hold, it doesn't change anything about the knowledge that we don't hold. Like, it's still not knowledge that we have.
My point is that everything that we think that we see, it comes from subjective perception. It comes from subjective knowledge. Okay, so we have somewhat of a grasp, each individual. I was a large grasp on subjective experience, but these discussions.
Oh, you're cutting in a little bit in and out, John. I could just be a connection thing. If you could just say that real quick again, and then we'll probably let you go here in a sec, because we've been talking for a good minute and it's been a good call. But finish up that thought, and then I'll let Tom kind of say some stuff. So,
I strongly disagree with the premise that that thinking about about what aspects of objective truth we understand, what we can comprehend. I disagree that that's unimportant. I think that's the most important thing. Everything that we understand is through subjective truth, subjective experience, right? And then we try to portray, based off of that, some sort of objective reality. And you're saying that that doesn't matter, but then how can we have an honest discussion if that doesn't matter? Isn't that the whole point?
well, in fairness, what I said specifically was that the amount of objective truth that we don't currently possess, how large or small that is, isn't important for the objective truth that we do possess, or for understanding that objective truth we don't possess. Does that make sense? Like, if we don't know 50% of a book, we can't make any claims about that book. If we, on the other hand, don't know only 1% of that book, guess what we still can't do about that 1%? So it just doesn't matter.
Okay, well, it definitely matters. So, for example, if we could say, oh, we only know 1% of, and I mean consciousness, time, space. If we only understand, I would say it would be 0.000, count the zeros. And if that is true, then we are inevitably on a level playing field with our adversary, with our intellectual adversaries, when having the discussion about a creator or a lack of a creator. Does that make sense?
No. So it's like the premise that you're talking about. It sounds like your thing is you disagree with the premise that you have to provide evidence for a claim to believe that claim, right? The atheist experience isn't making the argument of we believe this negative claim. They're saying nothing, right? I have no reason to believe the thing that you're saying. So I can just make all these things. Like, the reason why your argument doesn't make sense is the same reason as if I believed any other thing. I think it's Hercules and Zeus and like all of that. Why does that not make sense? Like, can the atheist not say, like, I need evidence for this? Right? It's the same thing.
Of course you can say that. Yeah, no, that's totally fair. But what I'm saying is that you have a subjective truth that isn't backed by objective truth. I have a subjective truth that also isn't backed by objective truth. So I'm just trying to say we're on an even playing field. That's the only argument.
No. Well, because we're not making a positive assertion about something.
Right.
So we don't need to. I don't need to prove something that I'm not trying to prove. Right. I'm not trying to prove anything.
We're not saying the same thing, just swapping out X. You're not saying I believe X.
Yeah.
And my response to that is I believe negative X. Like, that isn't necessarily, if that were the case, I would agree. But if the case is one side says, I think leprechauns are riding unicorns down the main street of my town from 7 to 9 p.m. And the other side says, I don't believe that.
Yeah, here's what I don't believe. I don't believe unicorns are riding. Like, I'm not saying that. You just haven't given me any of these unicorn videos.
Yeah. But I think, honestly, John,
not making the claim. Can I just ask one more question? I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah. No, go ahead. We've been on the call for a bit, but yeah, finish up here and we'll go on. No, you're good.
So are you not making the claim for a lack of a creator then?
I take the stance, and this is me personally, John. This is not everybody, okay? I personally take the stance to say I accept the negative claim that God does not exist for every version of God I have ever been described. Every single one out there fails logically or does not have any evidence to meet the burden of proof. Is it possible that there is a version of God out there that ontologically 100% exists that I have never heard of? Yes. Yes, that is possible. I leave that open. But every single version of God that I have ever been described, I take that hardcore stance of saying, I do not accept that it exists. And I do believe that I have reasons to point to for that, whether it's a logical inconsistency or a just lack of any, determining evidence that would push it over that line. So, and that's just a me.
So maybe
not everybody takes that.
So maybe it sounds like maybe the issue is that we agree a little bit more than we're realizing, which is often the case.
Hey, but that's good, John. I think that's a great freaking place to stop, man. I love ending on a high note and some agreement. So thank you so much, by the way, John. And please do call us back in next week or in the future, because I think this was a good discussion.
Perhaps.
So
yeah, maybe we can delve deeper into like what you were just talking about of like why you dispute all those claims.
Yeah, I'd absolutely love to do that.
But yeah, I appreciate you guys. This is great. You guys have good minds.
Hey,
Appreciate
thanks so
you,
much,
John.
Yeah, we do. That was good. That was a good way to start the show. I always love a call like that. And I do. I think he's right. I think there is oftentimes more, both sides, both interlocutors agree on than disagree. And I think it's valuable for us to point that out,
Yeah, I think the only disagreement there is like how much we agree. Right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
John, you agree. We're just trying to come on, you're with us here.
We're going to disagree to agree. Wait a second. Well, we still have open lines, folks. So remember, if you have some awesome thoughts and you want to get in today, you can do it very easily. 512-991-9242 from your phone or from the computer, tiny.cc/call-TH. And before we grab those next calls, I have got to tell you about some awesome ways you can support Talk Heathen and the ACA. First off, folks, merch. Okay. There is merch on merch on merch on merch. And this month is actually a little bit special. We are bringing back the top 3 designs as rated by you, the wonderful fans, for the month of May only. So if you missed out on any one of these great shirts, any one of these great designs, now you can get them, okay? But they're only going to be around for like another week or so, okay? So you got to get there quick, and we are even giving you 10% off your purchase by using the code favorites at checkout. So tiny.cc/merch ACA, and you can get all of that now. Also, folks, don't forget, go ahead and like the video and subscribe to the channel already. Enable those notifications and comment below on things you liked, things you didn't like. Elliot, SR talks too much. All fine things. We accept them. And in fact, I think there's a special announcement, something about our subscribers. We're like almost at 90K or something. I mean, we are getting up there. I apologize, crew. I had that ready and then I lost that. I forgot the exact number. So they will get that to me, I am sure, because they are wonderful. But we have been growing and it means the freaking world to us, folks. So definitely, please, if you have not already, subscribe to the channel. It's so easy, yes, 89.2 thousand. We are almost at 90K. That is so freaking awesome. That just, honestly, it just makes me so happy. With that, though, I got to tell you, if you want to go above and beyond, you sure can. You can become a channel member just by clicking the join button below. You can get awesome, sweet custom chat emotes, and you will help perpetuate the mission of Talk Heathen and the atheist community of Austin. So any of our wonderful members out there, go ahead and throw those beautiful emotes. Get up everybody's face in there. I think Christy's face is down there. My face is down there. There's a whole bunch of faces. So just throw them all everywhere you go. I am so sorry, mods. I apologize. I'm so sorry. And finally, send a super chat with a question or comment, and we will read as many as we can. And in fact, we've already got a couple coming in with $4.99 from the wonderful Greg Markowski. Says, thanks, SR and Tom, for the show. Multitasking today, and you guys are part of the mix. Well, thank you so much, Greg. We do appreciate always you are here supporting. And we have a member for 18 months, Yasmin Meadowflower. That is freaking awesome. We absolutely appreciate that. Please show off to everybody else in the chat, Yasmin, and just throw in as many of those emotes as you want. I give you permission. And again, I apologize to the YouTube mods. So let's go and grab another call before all of the mods in the chat start sending me hateful messages. We actually have a super cool call coming to us from California. Matt, him has a little bit that he wants to talk about a pretty cool organization, I think. Hey, Matt, what do you got for us today?
Hey, thanks for having me on, and thanks for saying that I'm a super cool call. That makes me feel super cool.
Good.
Well, yeah, I'm Matt. I'm the national organizing manager for the Secular Student Alliance, and thank you so much for having me on to talk about our Secular Student Alliance National Conference. It's coming up in St. Louis on June 16th through 18th, so in less than a month. It's going to be at the University of Missouri St. Louis. And this is our first conference back after 3 years of lockdown.
Wow.
We have a really amazing lineup. I'm really proud of our lineup of speakers, including, of course, our own student speakers from a number of campuses around the country. But we've also got Senator Megan Hunt. She's a Nebraska state senator and atheist, out and proud atheist in Nebraska. We have from around our secular community, we have Andrew Seidel, Sarah Levin, Sam McGuire of American Atheists, Brian Silva of Americans United for Separation of Church and State. We've got really a really pretty amazing lineup. Like I said, I'm quite proud of. And this is an opportunity not just for students. This, of course, we're the Secular Student Alliance. We're focused on students, but we have our community members from around our secular community joining, and our activist partners. Not everybody in our lineup, not everybody coming. Some are theists too, and there are allies, just as you were talking about. If somebody is right alongside with me defending trans rights and defending the separation of church and state, I don't care what else you believe, you're my ally. And so we have this, very excited about this conference. Like I said, it's June 16th through 18th, and our deadline to register, though, is this Wednesday, is May 24th. So if you're interested in going, go to secularstudents.org, click on our 2023 National Conference tab. You can get all your information. We do have some travel grants still available, so if you get it in real quick, if you're a current student, we can also help you out with travel grants. But that's my skill so far.
That is freaking awesome. And yeah, if any of our viewers out there are not familiar with the Secular Student Alliance, first off, there's actually some really cool ACA shows where they did them live with some local SSA chapter, I believe. So go check that out. Super great episode. But also, please go out there and look this organization up, you guys. Again, secularstudents.org. It is an absolutely phenomenal group of people nationwide who are fighting for some really great things. And we need all the help we can get. We won't keep you on too long, Matt, but tell us, what is one of your favorite things about working with the SSA?
Thank you. And, thanks for that ringing endorsement. I think hands down, my favorite thing about working with SSA is getting to know and helping to develop the leadership skills of just really amazing members of our secular community. We really like to be, we're not just at universities, we are at high schools, we are at middle schools, we're even making forays into elementary schools. And we are a way for secular and just, kids and students that want to question their religious beliefs. We're a place, we're a home for you to do that and have that open discussion. And the leaders that emerge are becoming leaders in our secular community, in our broader activist community. And so just being able to be a part of that is what I love. And that's why we're having this conference, to help develop that. And then also I want to give a quick plug for our scholarships program, because we have our scholarships applications open. It's the link for that is right next to the conference link on our website, secularstudents.org. And please apply for our scholarships. And that's for any activist who's involved in defending the separation of church and state, as well as supporting our secular values in a broad range of ways. Sorry.
Heck yeah. Well, one more
Nice.
time, Matt, before we kick you off, give us those dates, give us that website, tell us where it's going to be, and hopefully the audience will just be packed full of Talk Heathen and AXP fans. So.
Yes, thank you. So again, it's June 16th through 18th in St. Louis, Missouri are the dates at the University of Missouri St. Louis campus, and then the registration deadline is May 24th, is this Wednesday. So you got to get your registration in before May 24th. We also, like I said, have those travel grants available. If you put in that application, we'll reach back out to you about how we can help you get there if you're a current student.
Heck yeah.
Nice.
That is awesome, Matt. Well, thank you so much for calling us today, man. Again, I think the SSA is an absolutely wonderful organization. And I'm glad after 3 years of not being able to do this in person, you guys are getting back at it. So thanks so much, Matt.
I really appreciate y'all. Thank you.
All righty, man. Yeah, that is good. What do you think about that, Tom? Is there a need to have this secular student alliance? I mean, why should that be in schools? Why is that important?
Because the alternative, the default is like there's so many other organizations that rally around this. And I think to John's point earlier, it's like really difficult to rally around a call that's like, probably not, right? Like what he's saying about separation of church and state, there you go.
Absolutely.
Right? Like that's an issue that we just need to do, because you don't ever, it's like John was saying, we all agree on this thing. We don't want everybody with all these different views saying, it needs to be mine. And here in the US, we have that to some degree, like the default God on the money and all this nonsense. Yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah.
But I think we all agree that we want to just, whether you believe the creator thing or not, it still doesn't move the needle, I guess.
Right. And again, we are all big fans here of separation of church and state. So again, folks, an absolutely wonderful organization. If you can, please go out there and support, again, secularstudents.org. So yeah, we're always big fans of working with other wonderful organizations like them. So now I have to let you all know about another wonderful way you can support us here at Talk Heathen and the ACA. You can support us on Patreon, tiny.cc/PatreonTH, and you could get your name read out. We always read the top 5 every single time we are doing this awesome show. So if you want to be in those top 5, you know how to do it. tiny.cc/PatreonTH. And the ACA has this awesome channel that houses all of these wonderful shows in audio podcast form only at tiny.cc/AEN podcasts. And so if you want to hear our beautiful voices, but not see our beautiful faces, honestly, it's okay. We won't cry about it. I mean, I might a little, but it'll be off camera, so you won't have to worry about it. But again, tiny.cc/AEN podcast. I love that channel because I normally just let it just play in the background while I'm doing stuff at home. And you can also become part of the Talk Heathen community in our fan-run Facebook page at tiny.cc/FBTHG. There is always wonderful things going on there. There's always a phenomenal group of people that are out there talking about all things God and religion and science and supernatural and all that wonderful stuff. And if you have thoughts or would like to engage in those conversations, that is a great place to do it. And in case you didn't know this, Talk Heathen has a TikTok, and we will actually be going live every time right before this show. So every Sunday, like right before this show starts at 1 p.m. Central, go check us out on TikTok, you guys. And if you're not already subscribed, go ahead and do that, because that helps us get the message out there. I think we had Richard Godbyfirth actually doing it. So yeah, great dude. And we always love when Richard is hanging out with us. So we've got a couple of other calls, folks, but we still have open lines. And maybe Tom said something and you just flat out disagree and you think, oh my God.
You're saying a lot.
I had to pick on you a little bit.
For sure. I don't think anything I said was flawed to any degree.
That's right. Well, we are going to go down to Florida We've got Nathan, he, him pronouns. It sounds like you've got some evidence for God, Nathan. How are you today? You're talking
Hey
with
guys,
Secularity and Tom.
how you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good.
All right.
What-
I usually okay. I usually watch this show, but I usually I see Matt on there and other the Atheist Experience. I'm speaking.
Sure.
And I got Tom. And what was your name? Who I'm talking to?
Secularity, but you can call me SR. Even simpler.
Okay. I want to talk about something. It's a little deeper than what we call like evidence, because I don't really use that word a lot. It's but I'll use it because there's different kinds of evidence, like material evidence and different things like that. And usually there's circular arguments and nobody gets anywhere with it. And usually that was where I was at for a very long time until I started getting into instinctual evidence. And that word instinctual, I got on more and more because I realized that when I'm in a position of extreme fear or danger, whether it's medical, legal, whatever the case may be, if somebody had a gun to my head, I mean, God forbid. But in those moments, I would 100% refer to God. I would go to, oh my God, or help me God, or thank you God for my life being saved, or whatever it was. So I just think that on a deeper level that is evidence for God. And I think everybody has that level. Everybody goes to that place. And to pretend that they don't is being disingenuous, I think. I mean, if...
Okay. Yeah, hang on just a second. Hang on just a second, Nathan, because I think you...
that.
Yeah. I think that's a good bunch of stuff right there for sure. Tom, what are your thoughts on that? Just kind of first glance.
No, you've been there, right, SR?
Mhm.
Like what he's talking about, that experience.
Yeah,
Like, I like how you list out legal, medical. Like, man, I'm sorry for what's going on, Nathan.
Yeah, there's scary things in life, and life
Sure,
is scary.
for sure. Yeah. You're giving us a concept that I think we can all. Yeah. We all experience this thing
I'm just trying to
subjectively.
say, let's be like sincere and really
Sure.
honest, because we can go in circles about evidence for God in the Bible and all that stuff. I'm not even interested in any of that, because I think those are just words and making noises. I'm thinking more on a deeper level.
Sure. Nathan, do you feel as if your stance, let's just say, I mean, we could call it an argument, just a general term, right? Just your stance on that, right? That, you've had that experience, so many other people have had that experience. Do you think your stance is at all weakened if somebody says they have that similar experience, but instead of calling to God, they call to something else specific? Do you think that changes your view?
I don't think the word matters. I think whatever they're saying, it's...
But what if the claim that they're making is mutually exclusive to the other claim that you're making? Like, you say God, but they say who's what's it, and who's what's it actually is
Or
an
they say
evil goat
Jesus.
that sits in the clouds, right? So, like, what if that moment for somebody else is mutually exclusive and contradictory to your moment like that?
Sure, but we still go there, don't we? We all still go.
Isn't that a problem? Because they're going to a place that is completely counter to what you're going to, and you're trying to use that experience of you going to that other place as justification for the existence of this thing.
Yeah, Nathan, I got to tell you, like along these same lines, when it's like really, like I'm talking, you're kidnapped or something like real severe. A lot of people shit their pants. Can we make the claim then,
right,
that there's some shit God that is like the thing that we're really praying to? At the end of the day, it's all about shit.
Hang on to. I don't want this to go towards fear and anxiety and it being attached to that. It can happen in a good way as well. Like when a baby is born and you're like, oh my God, thank you God. Usually people say the word God. And I just find it funny that atheists say the same thing.
Yeah,
Yet
but Nathan,
are you... There is one. We're not denying that there is
hang
one,
on.
but they say there's no evidence towards one.
Yeah. Hang on just a second though, Nathan, because it sounds like you're calling to us today, at least from Florida. And I guess I wonder, how much time have you spent in Kenya? Have you spent a lot of time in Thailand, or maybe with, Aboriginal individuals over in like Australia and stuff? Because I think you would find that that experience that you're talking about is one that is very, very localized. And when you go to other places where people have different belief systems just kind of embedded in their culture in a similar way that Christianity has been embedded in the United States culture in various ways, like you're going to find that their stories are all similar too in that bit. But like, again, it's completely contradictory to yours, right? So like you've got somebody out there who has lived his whole life in Pakistan and his response is, Inshallah, if Allah wills it, right?
And
So he doesn't
feel
say
what
anything
they're
about
using.
God.
That's what I'm saying.
But the claim, right, I understand that you're getting very hung up on the words. I'm already past that though, Nathan. I'm in the same boat with you of saying, yeah, a lot of times people will use a slightly different terminology to get at an overall concept that they're trying to discuss, okay? But the problem is not that the word is different. The problem is that the concept that they're trying to encapsulate with whatever word they're using is contradictory to the concept that you are trying to encapsulate with whatever word. And you are both having the exact same experience that you says puts your side above, puts it on top in terms of being accurate. And all I'm trying to say is that if one person has that, if two people have that exact same experience, but are both pointing to contradictory things, we cannot use that experience for justification for either side. Does that make sense, Tom? Do you think I'm kind of getting at something here, or what are your thoughts on that? And then we'll pass it right back to you, Nathan.
Yeah, Nathan, I'm just in the same event. Like he's talking about two different things. Just imagine like this. I think what you're saying is that this happens on a human level. And I agree. Right. But then depending on where you're born and all these other factors, what's jammed into your head, you go, I'm choosing this one. Right. It's like a spider web of different things that it can get to. And I don't think we're saying that there's some like anti-God that no, I feel the same thing. I just don't have that thing. It's like, oh, it's a God and lives in the sky, beard, etc. Right. Not that I'm saying that's what you're saying.
Ask you a question. Have you ever been in a traumatic situation? And what was the very next thing you said when you got out of that situation? When you were fine?
Yes, and holy shit.
You were close to dying?
Yes, I have, and holy shit. I've also said other things.
Calm down. To the shit.
Calm down,
maybe I made a point.
Yeah. Calm down, Nathan. Calm down. You're getting a little excited, and I don't think it's necessary. And the reason I don't think it's necessary is because, like, the first call that Tom and I took today, like, John was actually in agreement with us a lot more. And I really do feel like Tom and I are, like 75% of the way there with you. It's just this last little specific nuanced point. And I guess what I'm getting at is, it sounds to me like this whole time, basically, Nathan, you have said that there is this thing inside of all the peoples all over the worlds now, in the past, and forever in eternity, where there's just this little wiring that every so often in these difficult situations, we cry out to something that is bigger and stronger and more cool and awesome than we are. And I don't think Tom and I are disagreeing at all on that. I just think what we are saying is that it seems to be the case that doesn't actually point towards any one answer, because of the fact that every time that we run this experiment, we get not only different results, but contradictory results, whether people are using the same term or not. And I think that's the part that we're having difficulty kind of getting the nuance out between us. Because again, I think for the most of what you've said, dude, like we're on board. It's just that last little step where you say this experience proves my thing. I don't think it does. And one of the reasons I point to is specifically because that experience supposedly proves something else that is contradictory 100% to what you believe. And that's the reason. If we run the same experiment and we get completely contradictory results, maybe not the best thing to tell us one way or the other, right?
Yeah, but time out. You said run the same experiment. You cannot run the same real life experiment over and over.
Yes, we
If you
can.
almost die on a motorcycle, you can't keep
Hold
almost.
up. Are you telling me that somebody having a traumatic car crash is different from somebody else having a traumatic car crash? Like, yeah, it's not the exact same, Fiat car that got smashed by the 18-wheeler, but like a head-on collision is a head-on collision, man. Like, traumatic events happen all the time. And to argue that they're exactly the same, of course, is silly and not at all what I'm saying. But I would argue you've basically this whole time been saying that those arguments are similar enough because they would have to be to prove the point that you're trying to make. Like those traumatic moments for people when they cry out to a deity would have to be similar enough so that you could put a circle around it and go, this is evidence for my thing. So again, I really believe we're in the same boat there, Nathan. It's just that you take the extra step to say that this does positively confirm a particular stance that you have. And all I'm trying to say is it doesn't seem to be the case if when doing the same thing over and over and over, we constantly get different and contradictory results. And I'm going to let you say some more stuff, Nathan, but then I promise I'm going to shut up a bit because Tom has not talked very much. But give us another thought and I'll kick it back to Tom.
You're saying for me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I think there's a bit of fallacy there because what you're saying is the same experiment. I'm still confused about that because if you did run an experiment where 99.9% of people that ended up in a major car collision, 99.9% everyone would say, "Oh my God, thank God I didn't." They would utter those words. And if you can, it doesn't have to be God or it could be something, but they're going to thank whatever source that they believe. I don't like the word belief, but whatever source that they feel, okay? And that is a real thing. And I think atheists are in denial of that real thing, okay? That's all I'm saying. You can't say to me that...
Hang on a second, Nathan. Hang on a second. That's some good stuff. I'm sure Tom has some stuff to say. Go ahead, Tom.
No, I don't know. I feel like we're just going round and round on this. You're saying it's not the word, but it is the word. It's not the word, but it is the word. I think I'm not denying it. You can have the experience and you say, "Oh my goodness, holy shit, that was wild," right? And then you move on.
Yeah.
What now? What now? Let me grant you that. What now? Where do we go?
Well,
I don't understand.
Well, why are you saying holy shit? Oh my goodness! If in fact life was not divine, if none of this made any matter, and it doesn't, and we know
because I like
that's
living.
Am I not out?
It doesn't need to be divine.
Yeah. Am I not allowed to call out to unicorns? Like, even though I don't believe that they exist, can I not say holy unicorn?
Sure, but
Does
that's
that
being silly because that's being silly though. You don't do
why
that.
Is that why is that? Well, hold up.
You're right. He's really silly.
Hold up, Nathan. You don't know me. A, you don't know me. B, I am very silly. And C, like, what does it matter? Is what I'm getting at. If anybody in a time of crisis calls out to anything else, that individual action does not in any way, shape, or form tell us anything other than the most basic thing, which is in a similar situation, human beings tend to cry out in such a way. Like, but that's not surprising. Like, you go anywhere in the freaking world and kick somebody, in their ass, and they're probably going to go, ow. that doesn't mean that there's some outside force that is just pain or ow, right? Like, it's just an expression. It doesn't mean anything more than that.
Yeah, but I think that's a little, and I use the word silly because right now times are getting silly, and I think that we're living in easy times. And, when times get hard, like during stressful events, World War II, whatever it was, more people started connecting back to God. And I think that's we're kind of...
Yeah, I just feel like that argument doesn't work in your favor, Nathan, is the problem. Like, I feel like what that says is that this ideology is something that when things are actually going well, it's not necessary to make things go better. And therefore it in that sentiment, it just feels to me like it's a security blanket or a crutch. And I would probably agree with
All
you.
right.
I just don't think that works for your argument,
God forbid anything happens to anybody, but when something happens, I can guarantee you they're going to say, thank you, God, or, oh my God. And not be like, thank you.
Well, that's,
leprechaun.
That's fair. I mean, I think that's fair that you have that assumption. I think the issue is whether or not you have any proof for that. Right. And again, I'll use this word again, A, because I love it, B, because you used it, but I think it's insanely silly to assume that somebody who grew up their entire life in Delhi is going to in any way, shape, or form say the exact same phrase that you do. And I think not recognizing that is really doing a disservice to your own feelings and beliefs. I know you said you didn't like the word belief, but I think I really
Evidence.
do. Yeah, I really do think that should be something that should shake your confidence in that feeling. Because if I had an experience and then claimed that experience, was the reason that I accept this particular thing over here, and then anybody else I knew had a similar experience that went to something different, I would stop saying that experience is a good reason to believe, because apparently it can lead us to two contradictory results. So, but with all that, Nathan, we are going to let you go. I did still think that was a really good call, man. And please do call us back. I know we didn't get to hash out everything. And unfortunately, sometimes on these shows, you don't always have a bunch of time to really dive into it. But I did think it was a really good call, Nathan. And so I do hope you give us a call back in the future, because I like good calls like that. I like disagreeing, but I also like to, I like when we find out we're a little bit more on the same page sometimes. That just makes me feel good. But yeah, any other closing thoughts on that, Tom, before we grab some other calls here?
Say thanks, Nathan. You're just like John. Feel like we disagree about how much we agree about this thing.
Yeah.
And then a word or two.
Yeah.
But we're there. We're with you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think
and sorry about the money problems or whatever's going on.
Yeah. Hopefully there's not too much bad stuff going on for you, man. And again,
if there's not, hit that donate button and hit the Patreon. That's right. tiny.cc/callth.
Shameless plugs. I love it. Well, let me get through a couple of wonderful things here. Like, we have another super chat from Ariel Elliott. It looks like this person is a new member, by the way, too. So $5 super chat. Thank you so much. And they say, I say, oh my God, when something unbelievable happens, I can't believe it happened, just as I can't believe in a God. I like that comment, Ariel. Thank you so much for that. I really enjoyed that. And we are actually about to read out the top 5 patrons. Tom, can you see those? Do you have those up?
I sure do.
Okay, hang on just a second. Let me say some wonderful things here, and we will go right into that. So first, folks, make sure right after this show, freaking after this show, 3 p.m. Central Time today, the newest episode of the flagship show of the ACA, The Nonprofits, will be airing live. tiny.cc/YTNP. And I think I've even been told in the past that if you just stay here at the Talk Heathen live stream, it'll just automatically put you over there. But if it doesn't, tiny.cc/YTNP, 3 p.m. Central Time today. That's right. The Nonprofits, the flagship show. And also the ACA wants you to know what is going on in our community. And for that, we have an updated website. So it is super duper easy. Just go to www.atheist-community.org and you can learn all about the organization, its policies, and how you can get involved. And we are always looking for wonderful volunteers. And we've actually gotten a few really good ones over the last few months. So thank you all. And anybody else out there that's interested, it's a really great group of people. The crew does a lot more than just sitting there waiting for the crew cam, and you get to hang out with them and wonderful, wonderful folks. But finally, we want to hear from you. We want to know what you liked, what you thought was effective, and most importantly, what you think we can do better. So just send us an email at atheist-community.org and tell us all your thoughts, or post them in the comments below. We take both, so we look at them. Mean things, mean tweets, or nice tweets, whatever you want to do. Tom, you got that list ready?
I have the list right here, folks.
Let's do it. The top 5 patrons of the week.
Here we are, top 5 patrons, starting with number 1. I have a quick question. How do you become a top patron?
Oh, you just go to, it's very easy. You just go to tiny.cc/PatreonTH. Yeah.
Tiny.cc/PatreonTH.
Super
Okay.
easy.
So if anybody wants to be on the top of the list, they can be doing that right now.
Right
and
now.
getting ready for next week.
Mhm.
And don't turn that dial, because number 1, we got Dingleberry Jackson. Dingleberry Jackson, thank you for having us read your name on the screen here. Number 2, Ayame. It could be Ayami. Ayame. You know who you are, hopefully. Number 3, oops, all singularity. Thank you for the fantastic donation. Number 4, Devon Velgen. If I'm saying that correctly. Thank you, Devon. Devor. It was Devor Velgen. Number 5, we've got Kalevi Helveti. Kalevi Helveti, thank you so much for your donations. Reminds me of that flick, Lucky Number Slevin. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
Slevin Kalevra was his name. Fantastic. And I think, speaking of that flick, an honorable mention, Paul Sherman. That's right. Paul Sherman of Paul Sherman fame. www.paulsherman.com. Thank you, Paul Sherman.
That's right, folks. So if you want to hear one of the wonderful hosts here on Talk Heathen stumble through your name, you know what to do. Tiny.cc/PatreonTH. I really do like oops, all singularity. It's clever. It's clever. It's nice. Well, we have a couple of other calls. Let's grab another one. We've got Jay, no pronouns given, has a question about a couple of different ideologies and education and stuff. Yeah, let's do it. Hey, Jay, you're talking with Tom Benson and Secular Rarity. What you got for us? Oh, might not be there. That's okay. We'll just send you back to the queue for a second, Jay, and we will be looking out for you in the future. And that's fine, because we have some other good calls. Let's go talk to Rob out in Colorado. He, him pronouns. Sounds like you're asking about theists reading the Bible and maybe not catching everything that it's trying to say. How are you, Rob?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. How you guys doing?
Oh, pretty
Doing
good,
well.
pretty good. Yeah, what you got for us today?
Yeah, so basically, I was a theist for a very long time. Like all my life, I was indoctrinated from a kid. My parents, my grandparents, and so on and so forth. I guess I can contribute my atheism to my pastor for offering seminary classes to me.
Sure.
And where I actually had to do some deep studying in the Bible. And along the way, I was also taking some online courses with biology and, learning about different things that I never was really exposed to as a Christian in science. My parents never taught me about evolution. Nobody ever really talked about it around me in the school I went to. Just like most of the schools, they kind of, dilly-dally around it. They don't really teach it properly. So I just started, shout out to Forrest Valkai. That's one of my favorite biologists, by the way.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. Great dude.
I just wanted to say, like, that's what actually put me on my journey to atheism, is learning those things first. And it not really, I can't learn that the earth was created through the birth of the sun and all the other planets in our solar system, and then believe that, God created the earth first, and on the fourth day he created the sun. Like I just don't, I guess what I'm trying to say, I don't see how other theists can't come to that realization. And then when you get deeper into the Bible, like my church never even taught me the story of Jephthah. I had to actually learn that on my own by actually studying the Bible.
They like to keep
so
that one a little hidden for some weird reason. I don't know why, but yeah.
Right. Well, Abraham didn't actually go through with it, and Jephthah did. So
Right.
they don't want
to. Yeah. Well, give me a second here, Rob. Tom, what are your thoughts on this, man? Like, why did you think why do you think it's so difficult? For people to get away. Oh, that's my bad. I started talking and then wasn't sure where I was going. It doesn't matter, folks. The point is that I know for me personally, the reason that it was so difficult to see a lot of those problems that you were talking about, Rob, is in part something that you touched on, real quickly, which is you just weren't exposed to it for so long, and that in a lot of times is purposeful. It is something that certain ideologies will do in an effort to make it more difficult to push back on them, right? It's something that insulates you from having to actually put in work. And that actually is really, really nice. So it's not just that humans want an answer for stuff, right? We hear that a bunch of people say that, and that definitely makes sense as to why a lot of times we go to these supernatural thinkings, is because we do like an answer. But you know what we like more than just an answer? We like an answer that's fucking simple. if it can be easy peasy, it's great. It's so much better. And when faced with another answer that is a slightly more difficult, it's honestly, it just kind of feels natural for us to want to go back to that easy one because it doesn't take as much work to get there.
Right. But I just don't understand, like, why can't we just ask the question? All right, we have the question. Where did all this come from? Who created it?
Yeah.
We don't know. We don't have no natural explanation for it. Why can't we just leave it at that until we find one?
Yeah,
Why can't we just leave it, like, because, like, we're born atheists. Like, I don't even think atheist should even be like a term to describe anything. Like, we're just like, it should be really theist. You just believe. Like, you're making the claim, not me. Like.
Yeah. And real quick, I'm gonna throw it back to Tom here in a second, but yeah, I mean, in part, it kind of brings us back to, I think, our first call where we had been kind of asked about, like, why do we do this and stuff, and one of those reasons for sure results from the fact that truly my position is mostly a response to what people are claiming, right? And so it's like, if people out there would just shut the hell up every so often and stop trying to hurt other people and take people's rights away for their belief, I probably wouldn't say so much, I probably wouldn't say as much stuff. It wouldn't be necessary. Like, sure, I guess that technically puts me out of, a fun hobby that I do every so often, but, I'll figure something else out, like bird watching or something. But Tom, what do you think? Why is it so difficult sometimes for the believers to see the bad stuff that comes along with that belief?
I don't know. I think the question you're asking, Rob, too, is like, what do we do about it? Right. You because we're same team, right? Like, man, how do you talk to them? Do you talk to them about it? Grandma, are you going to talk to grandma? You're going to convince grandma that after living however many years that there's actually this? No, it's sorry. They tricked you the whole time. Nobody wants to feel like that. So it's really difficult to have these conversations.
Like, even talking to people, like, to educate them, like, hey, look, check this out. Just check. Hey, watch this guy. Listen to what he has to say about evolution. Like, check this out. Like, really dive deep into it. It's like, none of that matters. But God. It's just but God.
Yeah.
And think about it. I mean, isn't it comforting? When you had God, that was a comforting thing to some degree. Yeah. There's the goods and the bads, and I experienced both of them. But
I feel it was child abuse, though. I feel like I get that thought, because, like, coming away from it, like, I actually believed in the hell. Like, it was a real place for me, and, like, now I'm free. Like, I'm not scared to die. I don't want to die. Of course, I got a lot to live for, but I'm not scared of it because I know that there's no bad place that I'm gonna go and burn for all these. Like, I don't believe that anymore. And at one time, that place was real for me. You know, the rapture. You know, like when the news when my parents would leave the house, you know, and the news would come on or something. You know, I'd rush out. I want to see. You know, I'm a kid. You know, I want to see if maybe it's today. You know, because nobody knows. That's what the Bible says. Nobody knows. You know, so you know, I want to make sure I was one of them. You know, like, am I doing the right thing? You know, it's just. You know, like, how can you live? Like, I feel so free from living my life under the thought of my every, not just action, but even my every thought being monitored. If I even think the wrong thing, I'm gonna burn for eternity. You know, so
and I know stepping away from that, Rob, just in and of itself, I think is so freeing. And again, even though a lot of us on the outside now can see that as a really terrible experience and see how much, you know, fear and harm and all that other bad stuff was there. I think, you know, Tom is right in that sense where there is a level of comfort that is often, you know, found by these people that hold these beliefs. And for them, that comfort outweighs all that other stuff. Now, I don't think that's the case, but that level of comfort is something that seems to, you know, go beyond all of those other things. So yeah, I know. It's a tough thing for sure. But you know, that's why we do stuff like this. And hopefully if we can have some more good conversations like we've had a couple today, hopefully we can get some more people to kind of step away from those harmful things that's harming others and themselves. Because I don't think in either scenario it's good. But we're getting close to the end, Rob, and I think we have Jay back, and we always love talking with our theist friends. So we're gonna let you go, but thank you so much for giving us a call today, Rob. I think it was a good one.
You guys.
Yeah, it was fun. And of course, you know, we've got that wonderful Facebook group, the Fan Run Discord as well. And those are great places to go hang out, folks. And
you know what's another great place?
Where's that?
The Patreon.
Oh, snap. That's tiny.cc/PatreonTH, folks. So shameless plug. Also, you know, there's another good place to go. I don't know if you've ever heard of this place, Tom. It's this little spot called Austin, Texas. And see, in Austin, Texas, the last Sunday of every month, the Free Thought Library opens up its doors and they are broadcasting live. That's right, May 28th, 2023. Come on down to Austin, Texas and hang out at the Free Thought Library. Join us for Talk Heathen, hosted by the wonderful Forrest Valkai and Sophia Spina. Sophia actually auditioned for the open came in for the open call and did a fantastic job, and we are so super excited for her appearance. And then after that, the Atheist Experience will be hosted by Forrest Valkai and Jim Barrows. Doors open at noon, so we hope to see you there, folks. It is an absolutely wonderful time. It is so much fun being there, hanging out with people in person, and getting to see the flying spaghetti monster. And there's actually a lot of wonderful stuff. There's a couple of items there, by the way. I don't know if anybody's ever seen this or noticed this. There's a couple of items in the background that has Dan's face on it. So I'm not going to tell you which one, folks, but I'm just going to tell you to look next time the live broadcast is happening, which is actually happening May 28th of this month. So. Pretty
little fun Easter egg for you there.
Yeah.
I'll give you another one coming up on the flagship show that we have here. Look for behind Kelly. There's a rock with Dan's face on it.
Oh, snap. Really?
Nonprofits. That's right. Stay tuned. Keep the dial turned on to this.
Okay.
You will see a rock with Dan's face on it.
Well, now, folks, you have homework. So look for that rock behind Kelly with Dan's face on it. And the next live broadcast on May 28th, be looking for that. And sorry, Dan, about just like picking on you and the things that you have your face on. But like, how did you get your face on so much stuff? It's really, I don't know. It's almost a miracle.
Sounds like a Dan problem.
Anyway, I think we've got time for just one more, and we are hoping to go hang out in the Fan Run Discord server at the end of it. So it looks like we have Jay calling in. No pronouns given. I think I can click the button. All right. Hey, Jay, you were talking. Hey, you were talking
Jay.
with Tom Benson and Secular Rarity. What do you got for us?
Hi, Tom and Ben. Yeah, the thing is that you are young kids, as far as I see you. Now, as far as the world is pretty much educated, who do you think is responsible for this worldwide education? Is it communism? Is it Christianity? Is it Islam? Who do you think is responsible for this education worldwide?
Sure. Tom, you want to give us your thoughts, and then
I guess it depends on where you live, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Keep going.
Yeah, I think because I was looking at this question, Jay, before we brought you on, and I think my answer, unfortunately, is going to suck a little bit, and the reason is because I think there's something actually wrong with the question itself. I don't think there is a codified ideology that either exists currently or has existed in the past in such a bullet pointed of ways as to like truly be the thing that is like what has brought us all the goodness and knowledge in the world. I think what has done that, though, is a handful of different things that have given us the right path, right? So like, for instance, going freaking Aristotle and all his buddies, a long time ago, just sitting around and doing nothing but thinking up logical fallacies, like that process and that epistemology, that way of coming to understand the world, I think is what's actually underpinning all of this. I don't know if it's fair to just call that science, because it's kind of a little bit more, it's kind of the, the underpinnings of science is what I'm saying. But yeah, I think that's probably, the best, but it's not a great answer in the sense, like, you can't just point to communism, and say like, haha, that. So does that kind of make sense, Jay? Kind of where I'm coming from?
We lost Jay.
Oh, we might have.
Jay,
I'll give you one more chance. That's okay. That's all right. We can get you back in the queue. I mean, we're getting
well,
close.
hold on. What was the
Go ahead.
question? I didn't get the question.
Yeah, basically the
How
question
come
was,
I
hey, there we are, Jay. We can hear you again. Okay. So
yeah.
did you
The
hear
thing is
hear
that
what kind of we both said? Just want to make sure we're on same page.
Who wanted to know what's the question?
Tom.
Tom, Ben. Jay.
Hello?
I'm
Can
sorry.
you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. The thing is, you were somewhat because I'm from that part of India, which is called Pakistan, India. Let's say.
I don't want to go into a political discussion about Pakistan or India. And we're having just, unfortunately, Jay, just some audio troubles. And just for, just to be kind to you and be kind to all our wonderful viewers and stuff. We are just gonna move on here. And let's see. We've got some good stuff here. I think
Jay, make sure,
go ahead.
Jay, if you can still hear us, join the Patreon. That's a great way that you can submit your questions, write it out. We'll get back to you.
Yep.
But you could be at the top of the list. Remember, Dingleberry? You could be the new Dingleberry, Jay.
You could be the new Dingleberry. That's correct. And it looks like we got another call here. Okay. So hang on, Frank, because before we pick you up, I want to let you folks know that if you're sitting around, sometimes, and you're feeling like you just don't know what to do or where to go, and you want to catch more of the awesome ACA shows that happen all over the YouTubes and the internets. Well, guess what? We've actually got you freaking covered, okay? So no more crying, no more complaining, because you can just go check out our 24/7 AXP TV live stream. That's right. Anytime, any day, anywhere, I didn't have a fourth one, actually. I probably should have thought about that before. Anyway, anytime, anywhere, you can experience a constant stream of shows, clips, and specials from the over 26 seasons of the Atheist Experience, folks. So you watch, listen, whatever, put it on in the background, clean your dog or your kitchen, and check out some of your favorite hosts and discover some really cool hosts that you have probably never heard of. So tiny.cc/AXPTV to join in on that fun. And now we are going to go out to North Carolina real quick. Frank, no pronouns given. We got just a few minutes here, Frank, but what it sounds like you want to talk a little bit about the fine tuning theory or something. What you got for us?
Well, I called in on a previous occasion and made a reference to Alan Guth with the Institute for Advanced Study at Princeton, and he had said that the constants, the constants in physics that pertain to the universe are so precisely calibrated that it would be a gazillion to one that they were merely a product of chance. And the speaker with whom I was talking then said, well, the fine-tuning theory or hypothesis has been debunked. And okay, I'd like to hear more about that. Particularly physicists of late have come up with a concept of dark energy, an energy inherent in the universe that is causing the expansion of the universe, and that if it were off one digit at the 7th decimal place, then the universe would never have manifested because matter would have either coagulated too much for stars and planets.
Real quick, Frank, I'm just going to jump in because I think I might see where a little bit of the issue is. So unfortunately, when people speak, oftentimes we're not perfect with our wording, right? And individuals that are at a very high level of education often speak to each other in very specific, nuanced jargon, okay? And sometimes when they try to speak to us that are not so heavily involved in that particular field of study, they use some words and they say things in a way that doesn't fully explain what they're trying to say. So I have heard many of
that? Are you
No. Hang on, Frank. Hey, Frank. We're having a good conversation. It's only like 2 minutes and 30 seconds in. I don't think there's any need for animosity or hostility. But what I'm saying is that oftentimes when physicists, when those high level academics say things like, if this thing were changed by blah, blah, then this would be the case or it wouldn't be the case. Okay. So what they're talking about is if all of the other constants in the universe are the same today, if everything else that we know about existence is how it is, and then we just flip this one dial, one click over, that screws everything up. But we don't actually know that another system with slightly different clicks of the dial could actually work together, right? So it could be the case that gravity is tuned just a little bit differently, but the weak nuclear force would also have to be tuned differently, right? So oftentimes when they say that phrase, it's not exactly getting the whole bit of information across. Does that make a little bit more sense though when you think about it like that? Oh, hang on. I'm sorry. I didn't unmute you. Now I've got you unmuted.
But also,
sorry.
But also the person with whom I was speaking said, well, you're only referring to one universe, and that's not a statistically significant sample. Well, the universe as we know it is at least 13.7 billion light years across, according to the James Hubble Deep Field experiment. But I want to say, well, how many universes do you need? And also that as intriguing and mystifying to me as the multiverse theory is, I wonder if there's indeed any proof per se for the multiverse hypothesis.
I think more physicists have stepped away from that in the most recent years, although I'm not 100% positive on that. But because we are getting close to the end, and I do want to have some time for the fan run Discord and stuff, Frank. But let me throw something out to you, okay? And just tell me if you've ever heard of this, okay? Have you heard about the potential for the discovery of a fifth fundamental force in the universe? Have you heard anything? Does this ring any bells whatsoever to you?
Well, the only thing I really know about that is that Einstein could not come up with a grand unifying theory, that he couldn't reconcile gravity mathematically with the weak force, the strong force, and electromagnetism.
Boom. So you are on the page. Okay. So you are on the page, Frank. Okay. So that is a big deal, that there are only 4 of those. And it is a super big deal that the weakest of which, gravity, is the one that we, as the observer, experience more than anything else. It seems to have the strongest hold on our life, but in fact is incredibly weak of a force. Okay. So, couple of experiments recently done, smashing some atoms together, large hadron colliders and so forth. Okay. We may have been incorrect about the mass of a subatomic particle called a muon, M-U-O-N. This is very, very brand new, cutting edge. Oh my gosh, could shift everything in science. And the reason that I brought all of this up is just really to say, like, a lot of times where we're at is a place that has taken a long time to get this level of knowledge. But the idea that that is the end point for the knowledge is almost always wrong, right? And that's good. That's good that that's the case, because it means that we can continue to learn about things and understand things and find out better answers. The difficulty, I think, lies in the ability for us to say that stuff that we don't know about is just freaking that. It's a question mark right now. And we can postulate ideas as to what could be the case, but actually trying to get to any claims right from the rip just falls flat on its face, because it's already a category of existence that we've said we just don't understand. And I think that is the most freeing place to be. When you come up to a question mark, leave it as a question mark until you have good reason to put something in that box. And that's the thing that I don't want us to take that next step of saying what this fifth fundamental force is, because we're not there yet. We think there could be one. We think it could unify everything. We think it could explain all this dark matter and stuff. But honestly, we've been trying to figure out about dark matter and dark energy since like the 70s, I think. But before we let you go, Frank, let me get Tom, just shout some thoughts at you. What do you think about that? The fine tuning, and, you know, do we know everything about the universe or what?
I don't know, man. This is like Forrest Valkai and Mikey stuff. Like, I don't know what then. I always what then? What now, Frank? And I'm not like being combative, Frank.
Yeah.
I assume you would have said the same thing SR would have said if you'd known it just now. I don't necessarily know the argument, but yeah, that's cool. I think you change your name from SR to PE, Professor Elliott, because you very well said. I don't think I can add anything to that.
Well, thank you, man. Well, Frank, like I said, we are going to let you go just because we are close to the end. But please, especially if you see me on again in the future, please give a call back in a little bit earlier, and we'll try to get to you even sooner, because I love to have long conversations where we can really, really hash things out. And unfortunately, we just sometimes are not able to. But that's okay, folks, because I think it was an awesome show. And Tom and I are going to wrap all this bad boy stuff up real quick so that we can come hang out with you wonderful people in the Fan Run Discord. That's right. But before we do, I got to remind you that the prompt for this week is, if God favors humans, why are they so blank? So fill in that blank for us, reply in the comments below this wonderful video, and remember to tune in at the beginning of next week's episode, and you can hear the top 3 answers, and one of those top 3 might be yours. So Let's see what else. Yes, that's right. You can like the video and subscribe to the channel. Again, we are so freaking close to 90,000 subscribers, and that means the world to us. So thank you, everyone that has done that. And again, if you haven't liked the video, it literally takes you no effort. Like, it takes absolutely nothing. I'm sitting here for like 2 hours straight, and you can't click a. I'm sorry, that wasn't called.
Just no, it hit it. I mean, if there's
right?
one thing,
Do it.
We'll be dishonest about. Even if you don't like it, just hit the like button.
That's right. We'll take
it helps the folks at home.
We'll take
you're hearing all these people who are subscribing to the Patreon. You don't have to be just like them.
That's
it would
right.
help. You'd be cooler. But in the meantime, hit that like button. Doesn't hurt you.
Speaking of, you can support us on Patreon, tiny.cc/PatreonTH. Get your name read out if you're in the top 5, and you can become a member of this wonderful channel just by clicking the join button below the video. Don't forget that we have a wonderful channel that houses all of the shows of the ACA in the audio podcast form at tiny.cc/AEN podcast, and you can hang out in the wonderful Talk Heathen community in the fan run Facebook page, tiny.cc/FBTHG. And if you want to catch Tom and I hanging out for a little bit before the awesome new episode of the flagship ACA show, The Nonprofits, which again airs at 3 p.m. Central Time today, tiny.cc/YTNP. If you want to have some fun with us before that, you can come over to that fan run Discord server, the ACD, tiny.cc/ACD Discord. And before we show that wonderful crew cam and get this wonderful love rings up there, Tom, tell everybody real quick where they can find you.
Find us more, www.howeverwegothere.com or www.howeverwegothere.com. We got both domains.
Easy peasy. And you can hear Tom say some wonderful stuff. Let's show those beautiful faces, those hardworking crew members that make us look like we know what we're doing. That right there, folks. Yeah, it's all the cat. The rest of them don't do anything. I know. But can we get some love rings? Can we get a little bit of I love it. Well, we definitely have to thank our viewers. All of you help keep this running. You are the reason that we do this. And whether you believe or not, if you are an essential worker, seriously, thank you so much. I know that these last few years have been a lot, and we are still, unfortunately, not out of the woods in a lot of ways. But we can all do some very, very simple things and play our part. So if you don't believe, do remember that this is a home for you. This is a place, and there are so many wonderful people here. And I know what it's like to have those moments where it just feels like the whole freaking world hits you all at once, and you just feel like crap. That's okay. It happens. And just remember that you don't have to suffer in silence. In fact, don't. Please reach out to somebody here. Hit us up at that email, or hang out, like I said, at that wonderful Facebook fan run page, or in the ACD. So again, it's y'all that make us want to do this. It's the community. So without you, we're just sitting in our houses, just talking to nobody. So, but Tom, you know how we like to end this show?
Amen.
Oh, well, okay. So what we do is we do this thing where I say, if you do believe, we don't hate you, and you say, we're just not convinced. You ready?
Got it.
All right. Pretty simple. Okay. So if you do believe, we don't hate you,
we're just not convinced.
We'll see you next time.
We want the truth, so watch Truth Wanted live Friday at 7 p.m. Central. Visit tiny.cc/YTTW and call into the show at 512-991-9242 or connect to the show online at tiny.cc/calltw.